Well, I never. It's 5:21 already, and I've not even stopped today. It's been one of those mentally busy days. Anyway, so let's revisit things from yesterday, because that's what I said I was going to do, and I've not forgot for once. So I was talking yesterday about the Loupedeck and other control services, the Stream Deck that I'm using to do various bits and pieces. And one of the issues that I've had and I found today is that despite having to log in to the software where you assign macros, functions and things to keys, certainly this is the case with Loupedeck, it may not be the case with Stream Deck, not checked yet, but it is what it is. So with the Loupedeck specifically, even though you have a profile and it gives you all the attached devices of that profile, it doesn't let you sync profiles between machines. It does, however, let you export and import profiles that have specific actions, macros, locations, all of the things that you would expect, the things that I actually need to do what I want to do, which is to be functionally lazy, because I am lazy. That's exactly why I wanted to be a programmer in the first instance. I wanted to find ways to be more efficiently lazy. As such, in my role as a content developer now, I also want to be lazy so I can spend more time being creative. Ergo, what I want to do then is to be able to perhaps change my macro or workspace in one place and have it be reflected in another. Since the tools that I'm using, for instance OBS, Premiere, Illustrator, all of these things allow me to do so and interact with them via those control surfaces. I couldn't think of a way of doing this other than the manual import and export of said files, but it turns out there is a way. In my old role, we found a way of syncing Visual Studio Code plugin settings using gists to do it. So basically I can create a repository, I put a watcher on the repository on GitHub that has my configuration files for, you see where I'm going with this, has the configuration files for the Loupedeck, that import export, and you can do it manually. All the import and export is doing is overwriting a file in the right place in the computer. Having a watcher on a repository means that anytime there's a change to a file and it's straight into the local disk, I can have a automated watcher push that gist up to GitHub, and then I can have a watcher on another machine doing the same thing, constantly looking as it's changed, as it's changed, as it changed, as it's changed, pulls it down. I mean, it's a hack, it's a hacky way of doing it, but does it work? Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. This is the kind of thing that I would hope was be in future versions of the software. I have sent them a feature request saying I shouldn't really be having to go to this extent to sync profiles. It's hardly a use case that is out of the ordinary. A lot of people, especially one of the selling points and one of the very expensive accessories that they make for the Loupedeck is a travel deck, a travel kit for it. It's basically a box. So you can go between different places, plug it into any machine with a USB port, and Bob's your uncle, you install the software, you're good to go. So it's clearly marketed as you can use it on any device anytime, blah blah blah. But not being able to do that is a severe letdown. Anyway, it's working for Loupedeck, so that's great. So I've got now consistency between home and work. I've got consistency between the applications that I'm using. I'm doing the same thing, by the way, with OBS now, because it struck me as, well, this is one of the issues that I'm having with OBS, is importing and exporting scenes and profiles. Two different things in OBS, do different things and control different settings. And I was having to manually import, export up into a OneDrive location and then pull them back down in another, which was, I mean, it's fine. It's doing effectively the same thing. However, I was having to do it manually, whereas using the same gist, updating to GitHub and having a watcher on those specific files, using those as local repositories with Git client installed, and a bit of Windows, PowerShell, I can do it automatically. I don't feel like I should be doing this. I feel like I've spent a lot of headspace today while I've been working on my actual job, figuring this out, and then spending my lunchtime, or a little bit of my lunchtime at least, building it. So, I mean, it's super simple. There's nothing to build. All the software was already there. It was literally set up a repository and then boom. Oh yeah, look, it's working. Going to the other computer and say, oh boom, it's done. So not a problem. It's just figuring that out now. I need to do the same thing for the Stream Deck. The Stream Deck, and I'm hoping that's going to work. It's less of a problem with the Stream Deck because I'm not using that in multiple places. I only use the Stream Deck on the one machine. So not a problem really if I can't do it. It would be nice, but it's not a huge issue. What would be nice is to find a way of translating Loop Deck automations to Stream Deck and Stream Deck to Loop Deck. That's something that, if there isn't already something built, I'm not going to spend time building it, because that is a niche use case, especially since I'm using several different Loop Deck models between the Loop Deck Live S. Is it the Live S? The Loop Deck Live and the CT. So I use 2 CTs and 1 Live and a Stream Deck. So yeah, that's perhaps a little bit too far in that. So once I've got that done, the next bit of the puzzle is, this is probably going to be a long one, I'm not going to lie. So if you're expecting me to talk about being depressed and stuff, I'm not going to talk about that today. Then this is full on talking about this automation situation, because this is what I'm interested in right now, and I need to solve. I don't need to solve it, but my personality says I need to solve it, because I like to solve problems. If I'm not thinking about stuff, I get really bored and angry, and just I don't want to talk or engage with people. Whereas if somebody comes up to me and asks me about this and actually listens, I'm like a freaking dog, aren't I? Give me a weenie snack, throw me something, say, oh that's clever, you've done a good job, and I'm pretty much happy. I'll just like wag me a little weenie tail and like just sit there and let you pat my head or do whatever you want to do. I like the praise. Anyway, right, so I've got the stuff that I need to do with syncing the profiles. The next thing I need to do is, and somebody might know how to do this, specifically Richard, if you're watching, you might know how to do this. This strikes me as something that Richard would know how to do. Right, so I've got an iPhone mounted on the wall in the studio at home, which is running Newer, their software for controlling all of the lights. Now I have 8 different controllable Newer lights. What would be really good is if I could control that via the Stream Deck using some type of Wi-Fi bridge. Now I know you're like, yeah, you're saying do it with Hue. No, I'm not doing it with Hue. I've spent a significant amount of money kitting things out, so I'm using Newer. So I need to get control from the Stream Deck to Newer. I say via the iPhone. I'm not bothered if it's via the iPhone because it's over Bluetooth, so I should be able to do it directly. How can I do that? Somebody tell me how to do that. I could replicate what the Newer software is doing on iOS, I suppose, and just like build it myself. But do you know what's really annoying then? Thinking about this now, and then I'm going to stop because I'm done. What is really annoying is everybody builds apps for their Bluetooth devices for iOS and Android. You can have PC apps as well, or Mac apps, or both, or like browser apps. It shouldn't be limited to a mobile device. What if I'm in an actual bigger studio? Granted, you wouldn't be using like consumer level or prosumer level kit, you'd have professional stuff, in which case you've got lighting control. But that's by the by. Doing this kind of stuff, you should be able to do with any Bluetooth enabled device. Write it in Unity or whatever and cross compile it. It's not overly complicated to do. Just give people access to it that want to be able to do stuff and automate all this stuff, rather than just having hugely expensive brands like Hue to do it, and then just having like integrations with just certain hardware providers like Stream Deck. Although that said, I think Hue is accessible via Loopdeck. I'm not 100% on that one, but you know what I mean. Everybody, newer, sort your stuff out. That would be good. So that's where I am today. That's probably going to be what I'm going to do some of this evening once the little one's in bed. Figure that out, because it would be really nice to be able to dynamically change lighting setups and arrangements depending. Now this would be freaking cool, right? So all of that plus same streaming, right? And I go from my primary cam, my face cam, so I want to do a talking head segment as I'm streaming, and then I want to go back down to my overhead cam because I'm painting something, right? This is gonna be cool. So the lighting setup changes up to which lights and what the intensity of the lights are depending on which is the active camera. Yeah, so I can have myself evenly lit at the front compared to all the lights on the focusing on the painting area. Yeah, boy, now that would be good, wouldn't it? That would be good. Now that is something that almost certainly doesn't exist. I reckon I could do it with compound actions in the Stream Deck software, if I can get access to the newer stuff to be able to turn the lights on and off and such. If I can't, then it's just a pipe dream, because I don't want to build all that from scratch. But that would be good. And suddenly I'm thinking I've got some servo mounts for the Blink Home Minis. They are addressable and I can control those. So it would be really cool, because I could mount those on my rigging in the studio, and if I could get that working, then not only could I change the lighting color intensity, I could also change the direction. And if I got another 4 of them, I could rotate in the, in fact, I might not need, I would. I need another 4. Because I could rotate in the, I could do pitch and yaw. And those two things, does that give you a roll if you do it together? But yeah, if I had 2 servo mounts per light, then I could change the direction, intensity of the light based off of some type of input, like changing cameras. Or I could just have predefined lighting setups set to macros, and everything would move to the right position. Now that is tasty. That is tasty. Yeah, I'm liking this idea. That's it. I'm going to leave it there for today, because I've talked way too much about this, and I'm clearly getting overly excited, and it's getting very time consuming and very expensive very fast for something that I 100% do not need for any reason at all, other than I'm hugely lazy. So be nice to each other. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and I'll let you know how I've progressed in this week-long adventure of automation. Until then, see ya.